Poor People's Campaign. She's here to discuss the third Reconstruction Resolution Campaign. Savina, and I think Cole's going to be sharing his screen, right?
Yes, I'll let him know. I'll let you know, Cole.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Beth. That's some great work that you guys are doing. So I'd like to know how can people find you out in Greenfield at some point, if you want to put that in the chat. So again, my name is Savina Martin. I'm with the Massachusetts Poor People's Campaign. And on behalf of our tri-chairs, Vaughn Goodwin and Reverend Jose Perez, and our statewide coordinating committee of the Massachusetts Poor People's Campaign. I'm just joining you all today to give some updates, as well as invite you all to join us in how to participate in the continuation of the work that we're all doing, right, in building state power together, particularly in this next phase of our campaign called the Third Reconstruction. So once I'm finished with this talk on drawing on the transformational history of the first Reconstruction, we'll have I'm tired too. We'll have Cole show the video, right? So we're in the phase of the Third Reconstruction. We're drawing on the transformational history of the first Reconstruction, as we all know about that history, following the Civil War, right? And the second Reconstruction of the civil rights struggles of the 20th century. And the third Reconstruction of the 21st century is a revival of our constitutional commitment to establish justice, provide for the general welfare, and decades of austerity, and recognize that policies that center the 140 million poor people in this country are also good economic policies that can heal and transform the nation. Also, the third Reconstruction that we're launching is about confronting policies and practices that produced this death-dealing society, right? Whether from police killings, poverty, lack of healthcare, ecological devastation, and the social and economic costs of endless wars. The Poor People's Campaign, of course, is the resurrection of the 1968 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Poor People's Campaign. And as he and many others had called for a revolution of values in America, they also sought to build a broad fusion movement that could unite poor and impacted communities across the country. And so the name was a direct cry from the underside of history, which is now the Poor People's Campaign, right? A national call for moral revival. Over the last 3 years, it's been clear that we've been, committing ourselves to shifting the moral narrative in this country by building this lasting power for poor and impacted people, right? We've done this by building a national fusion movement that encompasses now over 45 states across the country, with people from every walk of life, across every line of division and difference. In the Poor People's Campaign, we believe that in order to transform society in the image of justice, we must address the 5 interlocking injustices also of systemic poverty, systemic racism, ecological devastation / health, the war economy / militarism, and the false moral narrative of religious nationalism. We also know that a part of healing this country involves addressing the policies and systemic structures that have allowed these injustices to hurt so many of our people for far too long. So in the coming year, our ranks will increase as we broaden our efforts and stretch the banner of the Poor People's Campaign, right? Even wider. We believe that when you lift from the bottom, everybody rises, and that everybody is in and nobody is out. So here's the latest 5-minute video. I'm going to have Cole cue it up. That kind of sums up where we are today, and then I'll just talk a couple of minutes more, and then offer some ways that you guys can interactively participate with us in the next coming phase. So Cole?
Okay, 1 second. I just have to find the right file.
No worries.
Start thing. I'm like navigating on my computer. Why is this so hard?
Do you want me to put it in the chat?
That's sheesh. Actually can't see it. Even though I can see the file, I can't. Oh, I think I see the problem. All right, I'm gonna do it another way. Give me 1 more second. Okay, how about this?
We are in one of those moments that demand a poor people's campaign.
Our brothers and sisters are sleeping on the street. For a country this rich to have so many people poor, it's immoral and it's wrong. When we throw away more food than it takes to feed every person, not just that's hungry in this country, but around the world, that is not right. Something is wrong.
As a moral emergency, and that's why we need the Poor People's Campaign.
There's other systems here that are oppressing us that voting won't always fix. And that we've got to talk about, we've got to call it out, and we've got to mobilize and build a movement to be able to change these things that our politicians won't always change.
But if you don't recognize us, then it goes back to that second chapter that we're the forgotten ones.
Until we are ready to keep this fight going. Because it's crucial that we make ourselves heard.
Let the people vote. That's how you earn a veteran. When you hold down the poor, you hold down America. Our backs are against the wall, and we got no choice but to push.
We are building a multi-racial, intergenerational, non-violent army of the poor that will break every chain. Every chain.
And so we have to come to a point that every attack on the poor will embolden our agitation. Every attack on sick folk will embolden our agitation. Every attack on immigrants will embolden our agitation.
We can do more. We can do better. And we're building the power.
We will.
We're not lazy. We work. We work. We want a living wage. We want unions. We want health care. We want just what basic people need.
Everybody's got a right to live. Everybody's got a right to dream.
I'm ready to fight. I am tired. We're going to keep on making this holy trouble. Keep on defending our democracy. Keep on speaking for voting rights and for health care and for living wages and for everything that everybody in this society needs to thrive.
It's time to get it right here and right now. No racism is ever greater than the rights of humanity.
Our country now stands at a tipping point. We can realize the third Reconstruction to fully address poverty and low wages from the bottom up.
We all must embrace this omnibus vision of third Reconstruction. No democracy can claim to be strong when 140 million people, or 43% of its people, are poor and low wealth. That's talking about 52% of children under 18, 39 million children. That's 41% of elders above 65, 21 million. That's 42.6% of men, that's 65 million. That's 45% of women, 74 million. That's 60% of Black people, 26 million. That's 64% of Latinos, 38 million. That's 40% of Asian people, 8 million. That's 59% of Native Indigenous people, that's 2.1 million. And that's 33.5% of white people, that's 66 million white people. Before the pandemic ever hit, according to a study at Columbia University, 250,000 people a year died from the pandemic of poverty. 750 people a day.
We have the solution. They're right here. They're right here in the third Reconstruction resolution. And so we must build the political will, the compelling power, the resolve to lift from the bottom.
This is a moral issue rooted in the commitments of our Constitution, that the first thing we swear to is to establish justice, promote the general welfare, and to ensure equal protection under the law. This is a moral agenda, but a moral agenda from my faith traditions. Morality is not just folk coming together and singing we love each other. It is coming together by the Spirit, building a community where there is no lack. So a moral agenda is also a sound economic agenda.
Today we say to poor people, Mr. Speaker, we see you and we will eradicate poverty in our country with you.
This movement time. It's time to shake this nation, because this nation is locked up.
Rise up. Rise up. Rise up.
Get up tomorrow and start the revolution.
The third Reconstruction resolution was introduced into Congress on May 24th, 2021 by Representative Pramila Jayapal, Chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, and Representative Barbara Lee, as you saw at our May 24th press conference. Chair of the House Speaker's Task Force on Poverty and Opportunity. They have, in the same way that the new Green Deal provides a blueprint for tackling the climate crisis, and the resolution offers a broad outline for addressing the 5 interlocking injustices that I spoke about, targeted by the Poor People's Campaign, again, which is poverty, systemic racism, ecological devastation, health, militarism at home and abroad, and the distorted moral narrative of white nationalism. The resolution will need to be fleshed out, of course, and implemented with practical legislation, right? Some bills are already in the pipeline, as Representative Lee has said. Others will be introduced in the coming months, and some elements can be brought out by presidential executive order. But none of it will happen without the sustained grassroots pressure, which the Poor People's Campaign, our supporters and faith leaders are determined to provide. And this is why it's going to take all of us together to build a fusion coalition. This past Monday on June 7th, we held press conferences, right? Here in Massachusetts and in 30 plus states, with over 50 actions were a part of our buildup toward our June 21st, 2021 National Poor People's and Low Wage Workers Assembly that'll be held online, right? And in person at a socially distanced rally in North Carolina. In Massachusetts, 3 out of 9 US House of Representatives have signed on to our third Reconstruction resolution. James McGovern, right? Ayanna Presley, and Representative Stephen Lynch. On Monday, June 7th, we held our press conference in front of Stephen Lynch's office. By the time we got there and we were preparing to set up, one of his aides came downstairs and said, Representative Stephen Lynch had just signed on. Earlier that morning, we had heard that Ayanna Presley had signed on. So the 9 US representatives here in Massachusetts, out of the 9, we have 3 and 6 more to go. And we're going to continue to press them to sign on to this omnibus vision. So today we're launching our 1-year campaign toward an in-person moral march on Washington and Poor People's Low Wage Workers Assembly in Washington, DC in 2022. So here are interactive ways that you can participate, interact, and build your base toward the June 2022 Moral March on Washington. I'll add some digital information and materials in the chat. You can join the digital action room on this June 21st. We begin at 5:30. Again, I'll put this information in there. We have this beautiful webpage designed where you can actually tweet from it. All the materials and graphs are there that you need. You know, send it out to your contacts far and wide. Join us, right? Like we said, everybody in, nobody out. We all need to be on deck in this coming season that we are to fight for this democracy. So like our page and share this information I'm going to give you on all of our platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. That's it.
Thank you. Wow, that was a really moving film, and I'm glad that you shared that with us. I do have a question. If anyone has any questions, you can raise your hand. We've got a small enough group that people have just been asking questions, or you can put it in the chat. But I have a question. I'm kind of surprised that my representative, Catherine Clark, hasn't signed on yet. I will be contacting her ASAP. I can't imagine that she wouldn't. Do you have exactly what you give them to sign on to? Is it on the web page? Is it?
Absolutely. Our brand new interactive web page that includes the a full copy of the resolution. You can always print it out. You can hand deliver it if you want, right? Or you can join us and go up.
Her state office is within 5 minutes of my house, so I might hand deliver it.
That's right. You can hand deliver it. There's a way on our webpage, just like everyone else. I'm sure all of you all have seen this action item before, this menu, that you can pull down and actually call into their offices and apply pressure to. So there's many, many different ways that you can interact with this. We've got these fantastic graphics, both in English and Spanish. I mean, it works for everybody, right? So yeah, let's build together. So thank you for that.